action.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. Ganja, pot, paca, smoke, mota. There are as many names for cannabis as there are misconceptions about it. And there are a lot of those. I spent many years with a lot of misconceptions about marijuana. I always considered pot smokers to be slackers, stoners who didn't care about anything but surfing and eating. I mean, dudes. I was totally against the stuff for a long, long time. Never occurred to me that I would become a medical marijuana advocate. But that never did come in January of 1995, when the dearest friend that anyone could ever imagine, my confidant, my partner in crime, my brother from another mother, Jerry, was diagnosed with AIDS. He was immediately put on a very aggressive regimen of antiviral drugs which were designed to delay the onset of AIDS-related ailments. Unfortunately, Jerry was soon disabled by a combination of unrelenting nausea and excruciating nerve pain caused by the harsh cocktail of medications. His doctor prescribed several anti-nausea pills and a slew of other pharmaceuticals to reduce the agony in his hands and feet. Unfortunately, these drugs created further complications that were treated with more drugs. Finally, with nothing else to offer, Jerry's doctor suggested very quietly, and with the caveat that if Jerry ever told anyone he'd said it, the doctor would deny it, that he try another drug, which, although was illegal, had been shown to be very effective for many people. That drug was marijuana. Although medical marijuana was illegal in Hawaii in 1995, we were easily able to find it on the streets, as we still can today. And to our amazement, it worked wonders for Jerry. The horrid nausea that kept him from eating lifted literally moments after he took a couple of hits. He could be throwing up one minute and scarfing a greasy burger the next, if he smoked. The nerve pain took a little bit longer, but within weeks I was again able to hold his hand without witnessing the grimaces of pain that I had seen before he started his new medication. Today, medical marijuana in Hawaii is a legal reality. According to Hawaii News Now, as of 2011, there were over 10,000 individuals in the state with a medical marijuana identification certificate, which allows these individuals to consume marijuana for a variety of chronic illnesses and diseases. Unfortunately, the law does not remove the legal prohibition against purchasing the product, which renders the law useless for the vast majority. The inability to purchase marijuana means there are only two ways to obtain it legally. One is to grow it, and the other way is to have a designated individual grow it for you. This flaw in the legislation means that if you can't grow it yourself or have someone else grow it for you, and the law also states they cannot charge you for it, you're out of luck. Not everyone has the green thumb needed to grow it. Growing takes commitment, growing takes time. We have to ask ourselves, how would the public react if we were told that, sure, you're allowed to have your Advil and your Tylenol and your Lipitor, but you have to manufacture it yourself? Although easily obtainable on the streets, the purchase is subject to criminal prosecution, since state law forbids both the sale and purchase of marijuana by anyone. So, unfortunately, the state only got it half right. Opponents believe that medical marijuana dispensaries in the islands will create higher crime, a spike in the number of users, and a conduit for pot onto school campuses. Many also assert that there's a lack of scientific evidence to prove any benefits from marijuana. While these may be legitimate concerns, a bit of research and logic easily dispels them. For example, cities in states that have legal marijuana report that areas around dispensaries have seen a notable decrease in crime. This may seem counterintuitive, but the reasons are sound and sensible. These dispensaries have a highly visible security presence, and most of them have worked closely with surrounding businesses to establish a community that looks out for each other. Additionally, by making medicine available in comfortable, easily accessible, and safe stores, the need for illegal street sales, which typically involve gang members, has been reduced. So, making the illegal legal reduces crime? There's a concept. The argument that opening dispensaries will create a spike in the number of users is an old one. During the temperance movement of the mid-1800s, there was a well-worn argument that opening bars and saloons would result in more non-drinkers becoming alcoholics. which never proved to be the case. Besides which, most of us are aware that it's already quite easy to find smoke for sale just about anywhere we go in the state. Dispensaries would simply decriminalize the purchase for those with a certificate. The claim that stores would be a conduit for getting more marijuana onto school campuses is also without much merit. Legal marijuana dispensaries would no more increase the amount of pot available on school campuses than legal drug stores are the reason that more Vicodin, Adderall, and Ritalin are found on campus. The lack of research is a more legitimate concern, to a point, and much needs to be done. The problem here is nearly insurmountable. Federal law requires that the United States National Institute on Drug Abuse, NIDA, must approve all clinical research involving marijuana. In January 2010, NIDA spokeswoman Shirley Simpson said, "We generally do not fund research focused on the potential beneficial medical effects of marijuana. With no research, there's no empirical evidence. And without that, there's no scientific claims to the efficacy of marijuana. But does this mean that medical marijuana should be denied to those who claim its many positive effects?" During an interview with Lisa Gross, a medical marijuana patient from California who I met at a local farmer's market, I learned that having ready access to a dispensary has a significantly positive impact on patients. Lisa told me that before she obtained her medical marijuana card in California, she endured unrelenting pain after having a mastectomy in 2008. Prescribed medication to combat that pain, Ms. Gross says the medication caused severe diarrhea, left her mentally muddled most of the time, and suppressed her appetite. When her primary care physician suggested that she try smoking marijuana, she was surprised and quite offended. As a middle-aged woman, she felt that pot smoking was just something that was not for her. Then one day a friend showed up at her home with a joint in an argument in its favor. So Lisa decided to try it and was quickly relieved by its effects. Lisa felt the way many medical marijuaners do. Many medical marijuana users do. She didn't notice a particular high. Rather, she said that her pain was rapidly reduced by more than 2/3. As she was able to drastically reduce the amount of opioids prescribed by her doctor, her appetite also soon returned. Ms. Gross is now a convert to medical marijuana and has been able to almost completely eliminate her use of OxyContin. Her one complaint is that her medical insurance doesn't cover the nominal cost of marijuana, although it did cover the huge expense of the pharmaceutical she was prescribed. Now this brings us to another issue. According to Brown University Health Services, in 2010, the last year for which statistics are available, over 17,000 individuals died from prescription painkiller overdoses. While it's virtually impossible to overdose from marijuana, which sets it apart from most other drugs. Even Dr. Sanjay Gupta has changed his previously negative opinion on marijuana. In an interview just a couple of months ago, he was quoted as saying, "When you look at why this is classified as a Schedule I substance, really ask yourself as a doctor or as anyone else, does marijuana really rise to that level? Should it really be in the category of most dangerous substance in the United States? Should it really be in the category of highest abuse potential? And should it be in the category of something that has no medical applications?" I really think the answer to all these questions is no. Marijuana is a Schedule I drug, which also includes heroin, bath salts, LSD, and ecstasy. When a highly visible and respected doctor is able to make a complete U-turn on his opinion about a medication, isn't there a reason for us lay people to also consider it? There are hundreds of things which are available over the counter that can kill you. For instance, vitamin C, which we are encouraged to take in large doses to ward off the common cold, can cause life-threatening calcium toxicity if taken too much at one time or over a period of time. Excessive aspirin ingestion can result in death. Even alcohol is considered a drug by the legal community and medical communities, and it's responsible for thousands of deaths each year. Yet it's available everywhere with no prescription. There's a reason medical marijuana advocates call their mission compassionate. For years, research has been stalled by the US government, so there are very few studies on the effectiveness of the drug. Major pharmaceutical companies are attempting to corner the market by producing Marinol, which contains only THC. THC is just one of marijuana's over 400 chemical compounds, and it's the only federally recognized legal marijuana. In the meantime, thousands of Hawaiians who can and do benefit from medical marijuana remain criminals if they can't grow their own. Those who oppose legal dispensaries should re-examine their position. Despite being unsure of the effectiveness of medical marijuana, Please consider Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s words. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary offers one definition of justice as conformity to reason, and reason dictates that if I require something that helps me and hurts no one else, I'm entitled to it. It's time for us to open our hearts and our minds. We must stop criminalizing individuals for obtaining prescription medication the law says we can have. Let us obtain it in the same manner that we obtain our Seconal, our birth control pills, and our Viagra, in a safe, secure, respectful, and legal dispensary. I hope that you will all join me in supporting this cause. Thank you for your support. Thank you. That's it. I'm not doing it.